1,043.98 feet. That is Lake Mead right now. Today, Saturday, July 4th, 2026. And I am going to be honest with you, that number hit different this morning. Because 1 year ago today, this same holiday, this same week, this lake was sitting 10 feet higher than it is right now. 10 feet. In 12 months. Not from a catastrophic failure, not from an emergency. Just the ordinary passage of time, the ordinary summer heat, and the ordinary rate of things moving in a direction they have been moving for over 2 decades. The full pool on this lake is 1,229 feet. We are 185.02 feet below that. And in the last 24 hours alone, we dropped another 0.14 feet. Now before you say that sounds like barely anything, I hear you. But 10 feet per year, year after year, at an ordinary pace, with no emergency declared, is not a story about a bad stretch. It is a story about a direction. And directions that hold this long have a way of becoming destinations. Here is what is keeping me up at night. Most people watching the news this week are hearing the same recycled loop of information about this lake. Political gridlock, drought conditions, agricultural disputes, all real, all important. But today I want to go somewhere the coverage is not going. 3 things are happening right now that explain why this situation is genuinely harder to fix than it looks, and why each one of them lands directly on your wallet. The first one, which most Arizonans do not know, has already happened. The cut already came. It already landed. The system governing Lake Mead operates on what the Bureau of Reclamation calls shortage tiers. When the reservoir drops below 1,075 feet, Arizona loses 512,000 acre-feet of its annual Colorado River allocation. Water that was legally flowing to farms, cities, and communities across the state was removed from the ledger, by design, quietly, right now, at 1,043.98 feet. We are sitting in Tier 2 shortage territory. Arizona's annual cut has deepened to 592,000 acre-feet. To give you a number that lands differently, that is enough water to supply the entire city of Tucson for more than 4 years. Gone. Every year. While Arizona continues to grow, continues to build, and continues to plan around water supplies that federal law no longer makes available. Nevada has absorbed cuts too. California's senior water rights have shielded it from the deepest reductions so far. That shield has a limit. It is not as far away as California's politicians would prefer you to believe. Here is the part that makes me genuinely angry. There is a mathematical problem buried inside the foundation of every agreement governing this river, and it has been sitting there since 1922. The total legal water rights granted across 7 states and Mexico amount to approximately 16.5 million acre-feet per year. The Colorado River, in a normal year, actually produces somewhere between 12 and 13 million acre-feet. In a drought year, less than that. Which means the gap between what has been legally promised to people and what physically flows through the river is somewhere between 3 and 4 million acre-feet every single year before drought even enters the picture. Water professionals quietly refer to this as the difference between paper water and water. Paper water is what the law says you own. Water is what actually flows through a pipe into your faucet or onto your field. For decades, the gap between those two things was quietly covered by reserves sitting in Lake Mead and Lake Powell, built up during unusually wet periods in the early 20th century. What you are watching on that gauge, 1,043.98 feet. 10 feet lower than this same week last year is those reserves running out. The paper rights and the physical reality are slowly converging, and when they finally meet, the negotiation over who gives up what will be the most contentious domestic policy fight this country has seen in a generation. Now here is the piece that almost nobody over the age of 60 has heard about, and I think it deserves your full attention. Something happened in December 2020 that quietly changed the rules of this entire situation. For the first time in American history, water became a tradable financial commodity. 4. The CME Group, the same exchange where oil futures, gold contracts, and corn prices are bought and sold every day, launched water futures contracts tied to California water prices. No physical water changes hands through that market. It operates more like a financial bet on where water prices are heading. But here is what that signal unleashed. At the same time, private equity firms and hedge funds began quietly buying up physical water rights and farmland across Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona through direct acquisitions, outside the futures market entirely. Not to grow anything, not to build anything, to hold. To lease back to the municipalities and farmers who need it. To collect a return on scarcity, as that gap between paper water and water keeps closing. Two different mechanisms, the same direction, and the same destination: your water bill. Think carefully about what that machinery actually does. The same financial system that drove oil prices through cycles of boom and panic, that turned farmland into a speculative vehicle. That made housing unaffordable in markets that used to be accessible to working families. That system is now pointed directly at water. If you are managing a fixed income or own property in the Southwest, the forces shaping your water bill 10 years from now include not just drought and politics, but commodity markets run by people who have never set foot in Nevada and who treat a gallon of water the same way they treat a barrel of oil. That world arrived 4 years ago. Most people living in it do not yet know the rules have changed. I want to be fair about what is actually being tried. Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and Arizona all fund cloud seeding programs dispersing silver iodide particles into winter storm systems to encourage additional snowfall in the Rockies. Studies suggest it can add somewhere between 5 and 15% more precipitation under the right conditions. Maybe 200,000 additional acre-feet in a productive year. That is real water. It matters at the margins. But against a structural annual deficit of 3 to 4 million acre-feet. Before drought, before population growth, before private equity pressure. 200,000 acre-feet is a serious effort applied to a problem that is roughly 20 times larger. It is nothing. It is also not enough. So here is where we actually stand this 4th of July. 10 feet lower than we stood this exact week last year. Arizona is already absorbing mandatory cuts that most Arizonans have never been told about. A legal framework built on promises the river cannot keep. And a financial market that arrived 4 years ago and started treating your water bill like a return on investment. The water is going down. The legal rights to that water are not budging. And somewhere between where those two things are today and where they eventually have to meet are the retirement savings, the property values, the water bills, and the water security of millions of Americans who had every reasonable expectation of something different. I am going to keep coming back out here and giving you the real numbers. No spin, no politics, just the gauge, the facts, and what they mean for your life. If this video helped you understand what is actually happening, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear this. Subscribe if you have not already, because I update this every time something significant moves. And share this with someone you know who lives in the Southwest or has family out here, because most people have no idea how close to the edge we actually are. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And are you already seeing any of this on your monthly bills? I will see you at the next one. Stay sharp out there.